Hi everyone, welcome to Writerly's live broadcast of How to Pull Off a Successful Book Launch. I am Kelsye Nilsson, CEO and co-founder of Writerly, and I'm very happy to have you all here. We are recording this, so at any time if you need to go back and watch the recording, you will be able to stop, pause, play, do all of those things at your own pace. You'll be able to find the recording at the same place where you find the webinar. Also, before we get started, we do have some people live tweeting the event, and if you would like to join the conversation on Twitter, use the hashtag PubCamp14, and I'm going to share my screen with you really quickly. Would-be writers, Nyla is live tweeting the event with PubCamp14, and you can see on their last tweet it says PubCamp14. And they're helping us out partly because they have a writing conference coming up in October that I highly recommend, the Whidbey Island Writers Conference. Go ahead and check it out. We are, sorry y'all, let me get my slides so that you can actually see them. There we go. We do have the Q&A feature going, so if you have any questions, go ahead and type them into the box, and I will try to get to all of them as quickly as I can. Sometimes it takes, there's a little delay. Sometimes there's about a 15-second delay between what I'm saying and what you're actually typing and seeing. But go ahead and get your questions in there, and if I don't get to them during the broadcast, I will get to them at the very end. Briefly about me, there I am. There's my dog. There's our old Twitter profiles before we updated to the new Twitter profile. Writerly hosts these free events because we're all about helping writers achieve their publishing dreams. On Writerly, you can get help you need to launch your book, like by finding an editor or finding someone to help you build your website or to run your social media campaigns. So after this webinar is over, if there's anything that you need help with, go ahead and click over to Writerly and give us a look. We're going to be working off of this book launch checklist, and there's a PDF that you can download that I've put in the comments of the event page. So go ahead and download that PDF. This is what we're working off of, and a lot of these things are just mentioned, and you might not know what they are or how to do them. So today we're going to step by these as much as we possibly can and hopefully get through every single one of them. So the very first thing that you need to know also is that this list is just focusing on the promotion and marketing. This list is not detailing the steps that you need to actually produce your book or publish your book on a platform or get a publisher to pick it up for you. So this list just handles the building your author platform, doing your initial promotions, getting your review readers lined up, and that first week of blitz. It's optimized for indie publishers. However, it works really well for traditionally published authors as well. You have to do a lot of this work yourself. Some of the things you won't be able to do if you don't have the rights to your book, but the majority of these things you can do regardless of if you're publishing with a publisher or you're publishing for yourself. So I'm just checking the questions that we've got going so far. These ones I think that we're going to get to at the end, and I'm going to hop right in the beginning. For the very first section are the things that you start doing immediately. One question I hear quite a lot from people is, when do I start marketing my book? The answer is now. Start marketing your book right now, the moment that you have the idea for it, even before it's written. You'll need to start building your author platform. So what does that include? That includes making sure that you've got your website up, perhaps starting a blog, building your social media list, or building your social media, and building your email list. A really great way to build your email list is to make sure that, for one, on your website that you have the sign-up list. But then also you can use a tool called Rafflecopter and run promotions and giveaways where people sign up for your mailing list in exchange for entering a raffle. And the email list takes a very long time to build. You can't go out and, well, you can go out and buy an email list, but it's probably not going to be targeted exactly as you want. But this is really important to do because a big social community is wonderful, but you're going to get the highest conversion rate for book sales or free downloads from your email list. So please start building your email list immediately. For social media, we actually have a couple of other webinars where we focused in on how to both grow your audience and engage with your audience. And when the workshop is done, I'll make sure I put those links in the comments. Those are very helpful. You'll want to be building your connections now. It's really hard to wait until your book comes out and then try to start building your community. Start building your community now. Join writing groups. I talk a lot about meetup.com. In Meetup, you can go search for a writing group. If you're doing a nonfiction book, you can go and search for groups that are around your topic of interest. For example, if you're putting out a book about startups, go find Meetup groups where startups are meeting and sharing resources. That would be a really good way to connect with your audience. Attending writing conferences, like the Whidbey Island Writers Conference, would be another really great one. And also, joining your professional organizations. And there are quite a few out there. Here's one that I've really been enjoying, the Independent Book Publishers Association. It's pretty pricey to join. I don't remember the yearly amount right now, but it's enough that you have to think about it. But I've been a member. They have incredible resources. They'll often band together to do joint promotions. They'll do things like have a table at BEA, the really, really big annual conference for the publishers that you can be in on. So yes, it costs, and yes, I found it worth it. But also look in your city. For example, Seattle has Book Publishers Northwest, which is much more inexpensive. They have weekly meetings. You can do all kinds of things with them and a lot of resources. So Book Publishers Northwest is one in the Seattle and Pacific Northwest area, but just do a little searching in your city, and I'm sure that you can find one as well. Another thing that you want to do before you even get going on your launch plan is to do your research. So one way to do this is to go to Amazon, look at the category where you think that your book will be categorized. Look at the books that are the best sellers. Look at their covers, look at their descriptions, look at the author bios. If you can, go to a bookstore, do the exact same thing. Go to the shelf where your book would be shelved, pull out the books, notice if there are any agents or editors that are mentioned in the acknowledgments that you might want to contact if you are considering traditional publishing. And if you're still not quite sure if you're going to publish your book through a publisher or independently, I highly recommend, if there's any chance you want to do it traditionally, trying that first. While it's not impossible to get a publisher to pick up a book that's already been self-published, it's a lot harder. So first, if you want to traditionally publish, first approach the agents, first approach the editors. And if that doesn't work the way, or you don't get the pickup on that you'd like, then go to independent publishing. If you know you want to publish independently, great, just go for it. You don't even need to do that step. Another thing you'll want to do early is identify any contests or awards that your book might qualify for. And the reason that you want to do this very early is because some of these have annual deadlines where you have to get your book in by May, and it's May of every year. So you want to make sure that you don't miss those deadlines. On the Poets and Writers websites, pw.org, they have a great tool for finding all these contests. If you click on Tools for Writers, and then you click on Grants and Awards, you'll see an incredible database of writing contests and grants and awards. And you can search by entry fees, you can show upcoming, you can show genre. So this is a really good place to start making that list. And you might want to start making your own spreadsheet of contests and deadlines so that you make sure that you get them all in. I'm just checking your questions really quick. Lots of good questions, and then on this topic, so I'll come back to them all. The other thing is, at this point, this is just a really good time to be very cognizant of what authors are doing, especially the other authors in your genre. If you see people out there that are publishing books that might be similar to yours, go look at their website, do a Google search on their name, see where they're advertising, see what kind of events that they're doing. This is a great way for you to get ideas of what other people are doing, what's effective, what's working. And especially if you start from the bestsellers list, if you start looking at what those best-selling authors are doing, you're going to be ahead of the game. All right, back to the checklist. Now, 4 months out before your launch, at least, you could do this a year out, and I would be very, very happy. But 4 months out, you're going to want to create your marketing plan. And there's a bunch of things to include here in your marketing plan. For example, defining your target market. These are the most likely readers. And it might be very tempting for you to say, well, my book is great. Lots of people would like my book. Everyone would like my book. But when you are marketing to everyone, your marketing is going to be less and less effective. If you can narrow your target market, if you can narrow it down to one reader that you're thinking of, one reader who you can describe. So for example, if it's a book about startups, maybe it's young entrepreneurs, around 30 years old, college graduates, working on second startups, living in urban areas, really concerned about viral growth or something like that. The more you can narrow your target market and speak to that person, you'll actually put out much more effective marketing for everyone. It's the same as with writing. When you write a good story, you add in specifics. You don't say it was a bad day. You go in and you describe the kind of day and you put in all those details. It's the same thing, that the more specific you can be, actually the greater your appeal will be. Media channels. This is where it's very helpful, all that research that you did looking at what other authors are doing. Media channels are everywhere that you're going to talk about your book. So blogs would be one, newspapers would be one, webcasts like this, radio shows, all of those things, making sure that you've identified what would be a good way, where is your target market listening and getting their information, and then who are the people that are the content creators on those channels, and can you create any associations or relationships with them ahead of time. Platform building, this is your online and your offline tribes, your social media, your email lists. Make sure that you've included activities for that. Any promotions you're going to do or special offers. Events, are you going to do a book launch event? Are you going to do readings? It's good to know ahead of time. And your metrics and goals. And this is really important because there are so many ways to judge the success of your book. And if this is your first book that you're putting out there, and you put down a metric like sell 10,000 books, so that's a really hard goal right there, and one that actually you don't have any control over because you can't make people buy your book. But maybe your goal might be 1,000 sales the first year, maybe 1,000 sales, and maybe 20,000 free downloads from your promotion days. And then your metrics are the things that you can control. So maybe if you're going to do the free promotion day, one of your metrics would be that you advertise your free promotion day, or that you write a blog post. You write at least 3 blog posts to promote your free download day. Also, your goals could be not about sales at all. A lot of people don't make, when they're building a writing life, they don't make all of their income from their books. And a really good example of that is actually Guy Kawasaki. And Guy is an advisor at Writerly, and he and Sean Welch and Peg Fitzpatrick put out the book Ape, Author, Publisher, Entrepreneur. A lot of you got this for free from us. And Guy gives out this book for free all the time, which might not seem like a very good strategy for making money. But the book is just part of his writing life and a part of his career, where he said that the bulk of the money from this book is from speaking gigs. So for keynoting, you can get between $10,000 or $50,000 per event for big conferences. And obviously smaller conferences would pay a lot less. But this is a good way to supplement book income. So the success of your book might not simply be judged by how many sales you have, but how your income is coming in through other ways. And if you are a literary writer or a genre writer, maybe it's speaking gigs or teaching. There's all different kinds of ways to build a writing life beyond simply making money from your books. And I'm going to do a quick hop over to check. I can't see the questions at the same time that I'm scrolling through images, so I've got to keep hopping over to look at the questions. Okay, good. We're going to keep going. By the way, I do recommend that you all come back and check out this Ape website, because they have some really good resources on here, tools and resources, like a royalty calculator and hyperlinks to resources, and IBPA, they have a link to a good professional organization that we went over. So this is a good website to come check out when you're done with this webinar. Hopping back over to the list. Okay, so you've got your marketing plan in place. Now, 3 months before launch, this is where things really start to pick up, and where it helps if you can get a head start and do this stuff now rather than waiting until the week before or the week of or the week after. So the first one I have on here is invite beta readers. Beta is a term that we've taken from the tech world, and it's like the pre-book. It's the book before your real book, before it's been finalized and polished. Another way to think of this is it's your review copy. And if you can line up some readers before you publish your book that are going to read your book and give you feedback, and then be those first people that promote your book and review your book when it comes out, you're going to be really ahead of the game. So I'll show you really quick. My very first book that I published was just a short collection of stories. And I had never published before. This was just a collection of 3 stories, and I was able to get 32 reviews without doing any advertising or paying for any reviews or doing anything like that, simply by asking for early readers, bringing them into the process, and then asking them to review the book after it was published. And I do have a trick and some tools for doing this. I use Google Drive, which is cloud-based files. So for example, you can, if you go to Google Drive, you can create spreadsheets, you can create forms, you can share Word documents, and the great thing is that all of this is hosted online and you can share it with people. So the first thing I did was create a form, and here's the form that I created, and you can just hit create and then you tell Google what you want to create. I want to create a form. So here's the form I created. I explained what a beta reader was, and I explained what I expected my beta readers to do, and I had them give me their name and their email, and you can put a little design template for you if you want. And then this is what my form looked like to the public. And I explained that as a beta reader, they get access to the content ahead of publication, plus when we publish it, they get a digital version for free, plus I will thank them by name in the ebook version on an acknowledgments page. And in return, I ask them to review the content before a certain date and to promise to write a review the day or the week that the book is released. And I make sure that this is clear. It's an honest review. I say 5 stars would be fabulous, but you're not expected to give a positive review. If they don't like the book, that's fine. I do say 5 stars would be fabulous, because if they are so inclined, it would be. And then I take the link, the URL for this form, and I share it on my social media. I post it on Facebook. I put it on Kindle boards. I do all of those things. And when people come to the form and they put in their name and they put in their email, Google Drive automatically puts it all in a spreadsheet for me. I'm not going to stay there long because it's got emails, but you can see that there was a way where Google went ahead and put all of those names, all of those emails in a spreadsheet for me so I could have them. Then you need to get the content to folks. And if you have an ebook version, you can just send them the ebook version. But I used Google Docs again, and I just created a document on Google Docs. And because this is short stories, they're not very long. And I just pasted my content in here. And then look, my beta readers came and they put in comments, and their comments appear on the side. So I was actually able to make a bunch of corrections, see some people's reactions to different pieces, which helped me write my blurb and my back cover copy quite a lot. And then at the end of this document, I had them all write their names as they would like them to appear in the book. And then they also left general notes below. So 3 months out is when you want to create this form and start asking for beta readers and getting beta readers to sign up. These people will now be in with the process, and if you don't want to take revisions, then mention that. Say you're not looking for corrections, although it's always great if they catch a grammatical error. But say what you really want is feedback, and that you really hope that they'll be one of your first reviewers. I see Allison is asking, where can you find the checklist PDF? It's in the comments below on the event page. So if you don't have the checklist PDF, there is a link to it. And our lovely Archana is watching, and if she could maybe copy that and repost it so it's the top comment again. I have another question here from Zara, and she says, when in the writing process should you send your manuscript to beta readers? Well, ideally, it's pretty done. In fact, you might think it's completely done. If you would like to actually get people to respond to content, then send it out earlier. If you would like to be able to implement the feedback that you get, you're going to need some more time. In that case, you could send it out a year ahead, because especially if it's a novel, implementing comments or making revisions is going to take some time. So if you would like to implement comments, send it out a lot farther. If you're on deadline or your book launches in a month, go ahead and start getting those review readers right now. Try to, expect that even if your book only takes a few hours to read, they need a little time to do it. It might take them a month to find those 3 hours to read your book. So try to give them as much time as possible. The next question that I have is it ethical to pay for reviews? Well, I'm not one for making moral judgments, but one thing is that if you do pay for reviews, people should be disclosing. Like even your beta reviewers, they really should say in their review at the very end, I received a free copy of this book in exchange for my honest review. I think that as long as it's disclosed, you can do whatever you like. There is backlash, and if you're paying for a 5-star review, that can come around and bite you and not give you the response that you wanted. And in fact, there are a few ways to pay for editorial reviews. So I'm going to close up these ones that we've already done. So Kirkus is one place where you can go and pay for an editorial review. And it's known that you're paying. Everyone pays for these. No one gets them for free, I don't think. Well, maybe somebody does, but not me, not the masses. And you pay, and it's expensive. It says right here it's $4.25 for standard. It's $5.75 for express. And I put this on the list because if you're going to do this, it can take them 3 months to get your review in. And what's nice is that they do post it on Amazon. You get a chance to review it before they post it. You can't change their review, but if it's a negative review, you can kill it. You don't get your money back, but it'll never see the light of day. But if you approve the review, then they'll put it up on Amazon for you. I've really heard mixed things. I like that it's a professional and it's a respected review. And it's a nice way to fill out that editorial review section on your Amazon page. And they'll also promote it in their Kirkus Reviews magazine. You'll get a listing. But proceed with caution, because that is a lot of money. And if you are on a limited budget, I would probably recommend that you put that money towards online advertising or your events or some kind of direct marketing instead of this indirect marketing. But some people really like these, and some people really can't stand them. Writerly also, we have an editorial book review. And again, it's where professional editors will write a professional review of your book. And this is paid, and it's disclosed that it's paid, and then we go ahead and we post it on Amazon for you. So our service is similar to Kirkus, but we charge $149. And again, even though this is our service, I want to caution you on putting your money here if your goal is to sell a lot of copies of books. An editorial review doesn't really directly impact that. It can help, but it's not going to bring in the same direct impact as an ad would that you're running, an online ad or a mailing list ad. What an editorial review really can help you is that if your goal is to establish credibility or authority, or you're looking to build a writing career and maybe teach, if your payoffs are something other than direct book sales, then an editorial review is really smart, and it's a great way to build up your book. I'm going to check these questions again. One moment. Scanning. Gosh, you guys are asking really great questions. Okay, I'll come back to a lot of these. I will get to all of them just eventually. What have we got left? Become active on Goodreads. So Goodreads is a book discovery site where people review books, and you can fan authors. Authors can have pages. All kinds of great stuff happens. And the reason that I'm a big fan of Goodreads right now is that now there's all these new integrations with Kindles, so that Goodreads reviews and recommendations appear right directly on people's Kindles. Plus, it's a great way to directly reach out to readers that you might not have any other way to reach. Like when someone buys your book on Amazon, you don't know who they are, and you don't get their email address. But if someone gives you a 5-star review on Goodreads, you can follow them, you can friend them, you can send them messages. But the reason that you want to get on 3 months before your book launch is that Goodreads is complicated, and there's a lot of things to explore. So start exploring, start seeing what other authors are doing. You'll notice that some authors do things that feel very spammy, or that they'll send out messages that they look like a personal message, but they're really not. You might want to just make a note of some of those tactics and see what feels right to you and what just feels like spam. So go ahead 3 months out and start doing that. The next thing is, if you are going to have any kind of party or launch event, you really need to start planning it now. Events take a lot of time. And we have actually this broadcast, another webinar that we did with Scott James on how to throw an amazing DIY book release party. And while I'm showing it on the screen, I'm going to actually put it as a comment in our in the event page. Here's the DIY event webinar. So there's a link so that you can all watch it later. But Scott's big tip that I really learned from watching this webinar was to throw an event that's not just about your book coming out, because that's great that your book is coming out, but make the event have some kind of other draw. So maybe it's my book is coming out and we've got live music, or Scott did a really great thing where musicians made songs based off of his book, and then they all performed their songs at his book launch event. And then there's a whole other reason for people to come. It's not just a book launch party. So the more that you can make it a more interesting event that's bigger than simply I have a book and here it is, better off you will be. 3 months out, you also want to start doing your blogger outreach, starting to identify the bloggers that would be good for reaching your audience. This is a good time to start sharing their stuff on social media, to start promoting their work, and then go ahead and reach out and tell them that you have a book coming out, and maybe offer not simply to say, will you please post that my book is coming out when it comes out. Maybe instead offer content for them. Say, I would do a webinar for your audience, or I would write a blog post about something your audience is interested in. So offer quality content rather than simply a promotion. Now is the time to submit to contests. If you're going to do your book signings, remember bookstores, they fill up too, so reserve that time in advance. If you're going to do a blog tour, this is a good time to set that up as well. And also to go ahead and set up a Google alert for your name and your book title. And a Google alert is something where anytime your name or whatever search term you put in is mentioned on the interwebs, you will get an email that says that you were posted, or that someone was talking about you online. 2 months before launch, cover design input. This is a really fun way to, again, engage with your audience and get them feeling like they're part of the process. I'm on my author identity Facebook at the moment, and here is a photo I shared of 2 book covers for the 3rd book in my series, and I was asking people which one do they like. And you can see that I didn't even have the title. I was debating between Hooked and Lovish, and I put it up on Facebook, I put this photo up on Twitter, I put it on Google+, I put it on Pinterest, and I asked people for their input, which was very valuable. I might say I got a lot of good feedback, and I was able to make a choice for a cover and a title that my audience would like. But this is also a really good way to promote that your book is coming out without simply saying, I have a book coming out, I have a book coming out. It's a good way to get some of that pre-buzz going. Plus, because this was a series, it gave me an opportunity to mention my series and to highlight my other books. I had to show on the side there that I have 2 other books in the series. And it was a good reminder for everybody, oh yeah, I want to go check out The Breakup Girl. So here's something pretty easy and fun to do ahead of time. You'll also, at this point, want to be asking for your influencer endorsements. So if there's an author that you want to read the book and possibly blurb it, to write a mini review that you can put on your website, now is the time to ask. Start brainstorming your media. Start polishing your back cover copy and your book pitch. This might seem really far out, but again, you're going to be using your book pitch or your back cover copy in order to get bloggers to talk about you or to ask those influencers. You'll want to tell them what your book's about. Now you can post a teaser on your website. So for example, you can simply say, my book is coming out, and if you don't have the date, you don't have to put in the date. You can be as vague as summer 2014, and if you have the cover, you can put the cover up there. And then you can put a little link to your email list that says, be the first to know when the book's available, join my email list. So there you go. Yeah, make sure your website's all up to date. I'm going to skip over to questions again. Here's a good question from Artie. What's a good self-test to see if you're being too spammy? How can we guard against being the kind of book marketers we promised we never would become? Well, this is hard, and I believe everyone has different levels and different boundaries here, and your audiences, different audiences are going to tolerate different amounts. Honestly, for some people, you mention your book once and you're being too spammy for them. Other people can handle, 10 posts a day. It's not a big deal. One rule that I follow that I mentioned down below on the list is that when I'm heavily promoting something, I make sure that for every time I talk about it, that I've said something else 3 other times. So for example, if I'm on Twitter and I post that my book just came out today, I'll do 1 post about my book. And then there will be 3 other posts that have nothing to do with me or my book. There might be a quote, there might be me sharing an article, I might do a writing challenge, but I make sure that I'm not me. If you kind of think of it as being on a date, your date does want to know about you, but really your date wants to talk about themselves. So the more that you can talk about others, then they'll tolerate the few times that you talk about yourself. And that 3-to-1 ratio I only use it when I'm heavily promoting something. Normally, it's probably more 10-to-1, where it's give, a whole bunch of gives before I make an ask. And an ask could be something like if I'm trying to build my email list and I'm asking people to join my email list. That's self-marketing, and that's an ask. So even though I'm not directly selling something, I make sure that I've got really good content happening at the same time. How many beta readers? Yishun is also the one who is live tweeting for us from Would Be Writers. She wants to know, how many beta readers do you need? I say as many as you possibly can get. I've had a success rate of about 50%. So if I got 40 people to sign up to be a beta reader, 20 of them would actually read the book and leave their review. And life just happens. It's easy to sign up for something that's free and to say you'll do it. It's hard to actually find the time and follow through. So if a beta reader wasn't able to do it, I do not begrudge them at all. I'm asked all the time to review books, and I desperately want to, and I just cannot get to them. So I don't begrudge that. So expect that, expect at least a 50% attrition rate from your beta reader list. But I mean, think about that. If you could get 500 people to sign up to be a beta reader, then maybe that's 200 to 300 reviews when you launch. And don't think of those as lost sales, because the reviews really help build up the audience and the momentum. And there are a lot more than 500 readers in the universe of possible readers for your books. There's millions. So don't worry about those few. Don't think of them as lost sales. Think of them as a good way to get 3 more sales. Now I'm scanning the questions again. Here's another question. Everyone talks about how a Facebook launch party is a great idea investment with the launch, but how do you find people to invite without paying for ads? Thoughts about private messaging people, but that seems spammy. Any ideas or thoughts? So I'm going to go back over to my Facebook, and who knows what we're going to get, so let's find out. Let's go to my events so we can see. Oh, there's our lovely Archana. So here's events that I've been invited to, and what people do is, so say you have a launch coming up, you can create an event on Facebook that's actually for your in-person event, but you can also create an event, a virtual event. So say your book launch day, you create an event and you invite people to it, but then the body of your event just says, it's book launch day, here's the link to Amazon, please leave your reviews. And that's a good way to do it. I think it's very clever. And the great thing is when you invite people, you know, they get the message, and then when they RSVP, sometimes that shows up on their timeline that says they RSVP'd for so-and-so's book launch, which helps spread the word even more. I say invite everyone in your friend list to your book launch event. That's great. That's very low impact. It'll show up on their events. They can ignore it. It's not spammy at all. Private messaging can get a little spammy. If you normally private message someone about other things, then a message about your book launch seems very appropriate. But if you never talk to these people this way, or you never speak to them through the private message channel, and then you reach out only to say book launch, that is going to feel very spammy. If you think about that 3-to-1 ratio, is that the only time you're talking to this person is to tell them about your book launch? Yeah, that can get a little intense. You can advertise your event and pay for it, and Facebook will show it to the people that you promote it to. But when you think about it, there's really not a lot of reasons for a stranger to come to your book launch if they don't know who you are as a writer. If they don't already have some kind of relationship with you or like your writing, or you've done a really amazing thing for your event, maybe it's a, if you're doing a historical romance, for example, maybe you're doing a party where it's a period-based party and people come in costume and you have performers, or you've gone out of your way to make it an event that anyone would like to go to. Otherwise, that marketing for an event isn't going to get a whole lot of pickup for you, and you might want to spend that money instead either making a better event or doing some direct online marketing. I'm scanning the questions again. Miranda says, will you share your beta readers page for Smart Girl Dumb Love as a good example for us? I think that I did that. I showed let me just show you again real quick. There was what it looks like when I'm creating the form. This is what it looked like. Oh, if you want the link, sure. I will copy this link and I will put it in the form. Here's my beta reader form. So I just posted a link to my form in the event, on the event page, and later on, if you want to see the exact text that I use, you can go look at that form. If you sign up to be a beta reader for Smart Girl, nothing will happen. That's already passed. But you can go through the process if you want. Okay, let's see where we are now. 1 month, 1 month. Now, a lot of what you're doing now is helping to ease your load for when you actually launch your book. Because when you launch your book, that week is going to be crazy. So start doing a lot of pre-work. Like, write your press release now if you're going to do a press release. Start reaching out to media contacts now. Join groups. Join Facebook groups for book promotion. Join Google groups. On Google Plus, you can go to communities. You go to Google Plus, you click down to communities, and here you can see a lot of the communities that I've joined. And there are tons for writing, and there's tons for book promotion. Like there's Authors Free Day Promotion Club, Indie Readers and Writers has 4,000 members. All kinds of great communities. Writerly has a community, and I should mention that on Writerly, on our community, we even have a book promotion section where a lot of places don't like you to post your book promotion. They think it's spammy, but here we have a section specifically for please post your book promotion here. So 1 month out is a good time to start going around joining all these groups, finding all these groups, because again, when you get to that week, you're just going to be post, 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 post. You won't have any time to do research or do other stuff. You'll already need to know where you're going to go. Write your announcements ahead of time. Get your text right. So all you need to do is copy and paste when your book is out, or add the link. Post a teaser on Wattpad. So Wattpad is a great site where people post content for free and share content for free. This is what it looks like on the home page. Let me go over to my profile. And Wattpad, you can post something linking to something else. So for my books, so here I did a short story for Surprise and Disbelief, which was a story, one of the stories in my Smart Girl Dumb Love. And I'll go ahead and click on it. And what I was able to do is post the first story for free. I am giving this away for free, and you can only do this if you own the rights to your book. So if you are publishing through a publisher, don't do this without getting permission. You'll get in big trouble. But here I have explained the book, and I've also said it's the first story in Volume 1 of the Break It Girl series. Full book here, and then I link to Amazon, so people can actually go to Amazon and buy the whole book. But this was a good way for me to start getting some readership where they can read the first story. If you are publishing through a traditional publisher and you would like to use Wattpad to reach new audience, you can. I'm going to show you. Let's spell Atwood. I'm trying to spell live, which is not going to work very well for me. All right, Margaret Atwood, a very well-respected author, is all over Wattpad. And one of the things she'll do if she has a book coming out is she'll do, oh, here we go, Why I Wrote Mad Adam. So this is great non-spammy marketing to move people to her book. She did a Mad Adam reading group guide. Brilliant. She'll do explanations of the story or recaps. Here she did if she was doing a trilogy, so she has a way here for people to get caught up on one book so that they can go on to the next one. So again, this is a really great way. Wattpad is where we are right now. I'm going to check your questions again. Okay, I'm going to keep going a little bit. So back to the checklist. Double post blogs on Goodreads. Okay, what I mean by that is Goodreads has you can create a little author site. Let's go to mine. And it has a blog function. And I wouldn't use Goodreads as my main blogging platform. I use my website as my main blogging platform. However, when I create a blog on my own website, I can come here and I can create a new post. Let's see what it looks like to other people. I believe I'll be able to see it. Here we go. This is what my fan page looks like to other people. And when other people come here and they fan me, then whenever I write a blog post, a new blog post, it gets emailed to them. And remember how I mentioned when someone buys your book on Amazon, you don't get their email address. So it's not like you can keep marketing to them or reach out to them. But say you have your next book coming out and there's people that have fanned you on Goodreads. You can put up a blog post that says that the headline is the follow-up to book 1 of such and such series is coming on Tuesday, or is available now, or I have a free download day. And that blog post will show up in all of your fans' email inboxes. Sometimes it shows some of the posts, some of the content from the post. Sometimes it only shows the headline. So make sure your headline is really powerful and compelling. But this is a really good way to, again, reach out to those readers that you might not have direct access to otherwise. This is a good time to start doing your guest posts on other blogs or asking bloggers to do guest posts on your blog so that then they can return the favor for you when your book is newly released. Create a media kit. And I noticed there's a question on our question answer about media kits. And yes, this is definitely something that you can do on your own. Your media kit includes your author bio. It includes the name of the book, the cover of the book, when it's going to be released, prices perhaps if you know the prices, if there are any blurbs that you've gotten. And you can create this just as one simple sheet. You can do it in Word. If you're fancy, you can do it in InDesign. And you can save it off as a PDF. And this is something that you can put up on your website for people to download. You can send it to the media contacts along with your press release. You can send it to bookstores. You can send it ahead of events to different locations. And there's all kinds of things that this can be used for. It could be a sell sheet if you're going to bookstores to ask them to carry your book, or if you're asking them to host you for a signing, you might want to bring your little media kit. And if there's any story behind the book or any kind of angle, you can put it on your media kit, on your little sheet for your page. But basically, think about if I were a reporter and I was going to write a story about your book, what do I need to know? And make it as easy as possible. Put all that information that they need on the book, on your media kit. So that is most definitely something you can do ahead. And if you can do it ahead of time, again, you'll be ahead of the game. If you try to do it later on, it's going to really be hard. Does a self-published author need a media kit as well? Yes. Well, need. You never really need anything. There's all different ways to publish. But yes, I highly recommend a media kit if you are going to do promotions. And if you can make it available on your website, again, it just makes it all the more easy for someone to do a story about you without having to wait for you to respond to emails. And you have to think, well, what's my author bio this time? You just go ahead and have it already. All right, now I'm at 1 week before launch. 1 week before launch, you're going to want to send an email to all of those beta or review readers that you signed up. And it's tempting to send out a book email. And if you have 500 beta readers, then go ahead, use MailChimp or Constant Contact or something and send out an email to everybody. But I encourage you to treat your review readers with as much attention and respect as possible, which for me means when I send a message to my review readers, I do it one by one. It might be the same message. I might be copying and pasting the same bulk of my message, but I make sure that I type in there that I'm sending a direct message from my personal email to their personal email, and I thank them by name. So I would say, hi, Julie. Thank you for being a beta reader. Just a quick reminder that the launch is coming up in a week, and then I might link to the content or give her the content again. Because maybe they haven't had a chance to read the book yet, or they totally forgot. So give them a little 1 week heads up. And again, they are taking the time to read your book. You can take a minute to make sure that you type their name in and send them a direct message rather than a bulk. And this is a good time also to build your social karma. So in a week, you're going to be asking people to share and promote your book like crazy. Well, before you start asking for people to do other things for you, make sure that you've been doing the same thing for other people's. If you have friends that have books that have come out, share their books. Get on your Twitter, start retweeting other people, mention other people. Really give as much as you possibly can, because you're going to need to cash it in a week, and you're going to need to cash it in a major way. Make sure your media kit's available. So your announcement email, hopefully you have an email list that you've built at this point, but even if you haven't, you're going to send an email, hopefully, to your friends and family. Write it out. This is the good time to do it. And I do different versions. I do a friends and family version. I do an email list version. I do a beta reader version. So I've really made sure that I'm not sending content that isn't really appropriate for everybody. I'm making sure that they're getting something that's appropriate for them. And there's a few things to include in your announcement email. One thing is, it's one thing to say, please share this on your social media. It's another thing to say, here's a tweet you can copy and paste. Please share this, feel free to edit. Make it as easy as possible for people to share your book. If you want them to leave a review, don't say, please leave a review. Say, I would really appreciate your review. Here's a link to my book on Amazon. Here's a link to my book on Goodreads. Make it so all they have to do is click, or all they have to do is copy and paste. And they can edit, that's fine, but give them a good starting point. For the beta readers, for their message, I include a post that says, Kelsey's, take a look at Kelsey's funny new collection of short stories. Look for my name in the acknowledgments, and then I have a link to the book. So not only when they share that, it's not simply, oh, a book came out, but here's a book and I'm associated with it, and it's kind of a proud moment. They can say, my name is in this book. You don't want to send that to everybody. because if you send that to your mailing list, or if you send that message to your friends and family, if their name isn't in the book, they're going to be kind of disappointed. So that's one thing. If any of your beta readers have sent you advanced reviews, or if you have a blurb, you can start putting those up on your website and say advanced reader reviews. You can even put these in your book description on Amazon, where you control the description. You can put in reader reviews in there. The other thing I recommend is creating your Amazon associate account. And this is really cool, especially for those of us that just the money from our books just kind of trickles in. Here's another way to up some of your book income. Amazon Associates is a referral program. So you create yet another Amazon account for yet another Amazon program. And then when you create links to your book, you use it through your Amazon Associate account, and then you get somewhere between 6% or higher of whatever it is that they buy on Amazon after they've clicked your link. And this is great. So when you're sending out those links for people to share, make sure you're using a link from your Amazon Associate account so you can get an additional 6% on top of your book royalty. And when I first used this, I thought I would only be getting the percentage of what exactly it was that I was linking to. But no. You get the percentage of whatever people buy when they're visiting Amazon and they got there from your link. So I actually made quite a lot of money my first month on my Amazon Associate account because people would go to buy my book, and then while they were there, they'd also buy a Weber grill or a cashmere sweater. And all of those things I got 6% of. And then as people buy, your percentage goes up, and I think I was getting 7.5% of everything that people were buying. So it's just kind of a nice little thing that if you're going to be sending out links to everybody to share and to click on, or if you're going to put a new link on your website, make it an associate link. All right, before we get to day of launch, which is our big busy day, I'm going to check in on questions here again. This question from Artie that's been sitting here for a little bit: is it better to launch an ebook and a paperback at the same time, or roll out different formats at different times? There's two ways to look at this. One is if you send them out at the same time, people can get what they want. Some people prefer print, some people prefer ebook. Plus, if you're going to do events, you'll generally want to have print at the same time. However, there's another way to look at this, which is if you have your ebook launch, and then a month later or a few weeks later you have the paperback launch, there's a whole other excuse to talk about your book again and to email your list again. So you can do an ebook launch, wait a month, and then do all these shenanigans once again for your paperback book. So it's really up to you. I do see some benefits to staggering that, but a lot of people don't consider it a real book unless there is a print as well. So take that into consideration. I am just moving on down. Here's another question. If you submit, sorry, I skipped to a different question on accident, but this one was about the Google Docs. When you submit one Google Doc of your manuscript and you have beta readers leave their comments, can they see each other's comments or only you? If you're sharing one document with 20 people or 40 people, all those people can see all of the comments. And one thing that happened when I did it this way, which was kind of funny, is some people, instead of leaving a comment for correction, which is what I asked for, some people just went in there and changed some of the text. Again, this isn't my original manuscript, it's just a copy of my manuscript, so it's not like I'm going to lose my work. But what was pretty funny is some people would go change a sentence, and then the next person would come around and they would highlight that change and they would say, this isn't effective, and then they would recommend often what I had originally, which I thought was pretty funny. So do know that that can happen. Other times, instead of putting the entire manuscript up on Google Docs, I just sent them an early copy, either as a PDF or as a Mobi file or as an EPUB. And if it was the final copy, I said that I might say don't judge this book based off formatting or final grammatical errors, there's still one more check to do. But yes, if you share a doc with multiple people, then they can all see their comments, not just you. Here's a question from Art. If you choose to publish an audiobook version of your manuscript, how do you implement that? Art, that is a long topic for another webinar. If you would like to email me later at Kelsye@Writerly, I can send you some resources for doing an audiobook version. Elizabeth says, many traditionally published books seem to be released on Tuesdays. Is this a magic day with strategic significance or arbitrary? I try to do books on Tuesday, and the reason that I've done it is for every company where I've worked, whenever we've sent out mass emails, our best open rate, our best conversion rate day for emails is on Tuesday. I don't know why. Well, Saturdays and Sundays, people aren't always checking their emails. I don't know. There's a bunch of theories, but I have found that Tuesday is a great day for people to open and click and do. And a lot of what we do is driven by email, whether it's an email that you're sending out, an official announcement blast email, or even if it's just an email to your friends and family. If you're sending that email out on Tuesday, particularly Tuesday morning, they are more likely to open it and they are more likely to click. I find this true on social media. I use a few different tools that will analyze my social media and tell me when the most effective time to publish is. Manage Flitter is one of the tools that I use for that. And they always, each different tool that I use tells me Tuesday morning. They'll tell me different things. Some will say 7 a.m., some will say 9 a.m., some will say 8:30, but they all tell me Tuesday morning is when we get the most conversions. So you guys tell me, what's it about Tuesday morning? Why are you all clicking on Tuesdays? Miranda also mentions, she says Wattpad is amazing. Publish is also worthy of attention. Yes, there are many, many great platforms out there. Denise says, what date is the best launch date? The day the publisher says it's released, but also not available yet. When distributors like Amazon get the file, when you host the event, what matters in the equation? So when you publish your book on Amazon, you have to, you set the publishing date, and you can't do it as before. So even if you published your date somewhere, even if you published your book somewhere else before, if you're self-publishing on Amazon, your publishing date on Amazon is either the day that you upload your book files, or it's some date you pick after that. You know, you can really choose. It doesn't impact a whole heck of a lot. I like doing my events after the launch date. I don't like doing a book launch event on the actual book launch day, because on the book launch day, I want to be online and I want to be emailing, and I want people to have a chance to get some reviews up, and then have my event a week later where maybe there's already some reviews, already some momentum. And also, if I have to manage an event, then I can focus on the event and not have to worry about planning or preparing for the event that day and doing all my online posting. Sometimes they might say release, and it could be when it's already sent to the bookstores, and books can get it ahead of time, but it's not. They're not supposed to make it available yet until a certain date. So if you're indie publishing, even if your book is already up, for some reason you pressed publish ahead of time, but you're not quite ready for your launch, if you don't tell anyone about it, there's a good chance no one will notice. So if you publish your book and you decide you want the launch date to be a month later, you set the launch date. You name the launch date. There is another question here from Artie that says, what parts of pre-launch duties is it fair for the authors to expect of their publishers? What part of pre-launch duties is it fair for publishers to expect of their authors? I would assume that, first of all, you are going to do everything. Just assume you're going to do everything that you possibly can. And then for publishers, this really depends on the size of the publisher and their process. Some publishers will do those things like they'll have a deal with Kirkus Review where they submit it for reviews ahead of time, and they take care of that. Small Small presses, they can't afford that. They won't be doing that. So if you want to do that, you have to do it. Big publishers, make sure to get it on the library lists, out to the bookstores and the catalogs, all of those things. Distribution. But publisher, you can expect your publisher to handle distribution and making sure it's listed and there's proper notice. And that's about the baseline. Everything up there is depending on their budget and their resources. And if you want more than that, you either need to be a great author with a history of sales with that publisher so that they know to put more resources into it, or you need to do it yourself. So it doesn't really matter if you're self-publishing or if you're traditionally publishing. A lot of this you will still need to do yourself, especially if you are at a small press or if you are a first-time author and they're not willing to put in a lot of resources in on your first book. R.L. Brody had the question about Tuesday, and oh, he's heard that late Wednesday morning is the best time for blog posts. Maybe so. I still find Tuesday morning. Tuesday morning seems to be magic time. All right, I'm going to hop back over to our list and day of posts, day of launch. And this day, please clear this day. Don't go to work this day if you can, although if it's a Tuesday and you have a day job, bring in your phone or something so that you can access the internet while you're there. There's a whole bunch that you need to do. You'll need to update your website so that it says now available and it links to Amazon or to wherever you're selling your book. You'll want to, if you don't have the link available to you until the post date, you'll have to do all of your posting this day. You can't schedule it in advance. You can write your posts in advance so that all you have to do on the first day, on the day that your book is out, is copy the link, paste it into your post, and then share those posts. Schedule them out, post on Pinterest, post in all those Google community groups that you've joined, post in your Facebook groups. You're going to message your beta readers. You're going to message your friends and family. Again, you're going to include those pre-written posts. You're going to send out your announcement email to your lists. You're going to go to Author Central. If this was your first book on Amazon, you were not able to create an author profile. You are only able to create an author profile on Amazon if you have a book on Amazon, which means that the day your book comes out, now go to Author Central. Now go to Goodreads. Sometimes Goodreads doesn't automatically see that your book is available, so you need to manually add it. If you want to send out an email to everybody that says, here's where you can review it on Amazon, here's where you can do it on Goodreads, here's where you can do it on Shelfari, you might have to manually add your book to Goodreads and Shelfari before you have that link to share. So, phew, big day of posting. And the reason that you want to get everyone active at once is all of these activities build upon each other. So if you can get that initial momentum going, then you'll start appearing higher on lists, on bestseller lists, and all of those kinds of things, which will then increase your visibility and then get you more sales. So you don't, while it's fine to keep doing continual promotions on and on and on, you can keep relaunching your book every month if you want. But know that if you can do a lot of activities at once to get a lot of different groups or a lot of people buying the book at once, that momentum is going to push you even farther ahead. And then for the rest of the week, keep sending reminders to your beta readers. Don't assume that just because you sent them one message that they're going to do it. Be nice about it. Be very respectful. But say, the book is up. Have you had a chance to leave your review? Thank you so much if you have. If not, here's the link. You're going to keep going with your social posts and on for the rest of the month. And remember to not be spammy. Don't go beyond 3 to 1, where every time you talk about your book, make sure you talk about something else at least 3 other times. Now's a great time for your blog tour, your interviews, your guest posts. The other thing is that it's I see a lot of authors will come to me and they'll say, but I did this. I got beta readers. I sent a message to my friends and family, and no one reviewed it. Well, there's a number of reasons for that. One is you didn't give them enough time. 2 is you didn't actually ask. Whatever it is that you want them to do, you have to say it clearly. So if you sent a message to your friends and family and you said, oh, my book is out, here it is, take a look. Yay! That's all that they will do. Some of them will buy, a few of them will review, but if you want them to leave a review, specifically say, please leave a review. And one author, Judith Jill, who wrote The View from Casa Chipitos, her email that she sent to her friends and family was really effective. And she got about 50 reviews. And one thing she said was, she told people, you don't have to write an epic review, just a couple lines. I enjoyed this book because of the weather would be fine. Some people are really nervous to post a public review, especially for a book. They think they have to write a book report. Make it clear that they don't need to write a book report. Now you're going to be doing your promos. There's a few that I've listed that you can research. Liboo has changed to the mid list. So there's no more Liboo, but there is the mid list, which is similar to BookBub, and I still recommend them. Great people there. And promotion is yet another workshop that we'll do later on this month. I'm gonna actually hop back over to my face, possibly, if I can find the correct screen to do so. And I'll go, hello everybody. Now let's go through these last questions from Matt King. For genre writers, do you recommend going to conferences with a table display or spending the bulk of your time roaming and networking? If it's a very targeted conference where the people that are arriving are readers and not other writers, then a table could be effective. The purpose of your table, though, won't be to sell books. You're not going to sell a lot of direct books at the conference. The purpose of your table is to get email addresses. So if you have a book launch coming up and there's a conference, sure, you can get a table. Make sure you have some kind of giveaway or something as an exchange so that you can get people's email addresses. And that's why you're going, is to get their email address, not to actually sell your book. However, if it's a writing conference, roam. And if it's a really big conference, I recommend roaming as well. You will make a lot fewer contacts, but they will be much more powerful, and you'll actually probably have more conversion from those fewer, more authentic connections that you have rather than simply having a table. Next question from Miranda. My author site and my blog are both under the same domain name. Do you see this as the best option? Yes. In fact, I'm working with an author right now who has a blog way over here, and now we're creating a new author website for her, and I've asked to bring the blog into the same domain. And the reason is that we want the traffic from the blog to help feed the traffic to the basic author information and vice versa. So yes, I definitely recommend having them under the same website domain. Hopefully it's your author name or author your name, and then /blog. So there we go. Yes, you're doing very well. Very smart. Elizabeth asks, how does an author create buzz for a smaller niche genre like weird Western? I think that you actually are in a very good position, because if your genre is very small, and we'll use weird Western, then you've really defined a more specific target market. And this is a lot more fun now. So find where these groups are. Find where these people are. Weird Western. I'm not sure that there's a meetup for that, but there might be some really great blogs out there. There might even be community groups on Google. And you can do much more playful things. And people don't have to identify as being a weird Western fan. If you just do fun stuff. I did Book Lush was a nonfiction book of mine where I matched cocktail drinks with books matched on meaning and mood and that kind of stuff. And when I was marketing it, I didn't just go out and find people that were doing this, because there aren't people that are already doing, maybe there are, but there's not big groups of people that were already doing this. But I was creating events where they could bring a book and we'd match a cocktail to it. Or I was posting graphics where I would have a book recommendation, and then I would have a matching drink to drink while you're reading that book. And it was something really interesting. So for your genre, do something interesting for it, put it out there, and it's going to appeal to a lot of people. Here's a question. Should the beta readers be professional, friends, family, or etc.? I take them all. If someone wants to read my book ahead of time and review it, that's wonderful, whether they're a stranger or family. Family is tricky because, or people that know you or might ever access Amazon through your computer. Amazon is pretty good at finding connections between reviewers and authors and deleting those reviews. So my husband, for example, has never been able to review any of my books. Amazon won't let them go live, won't let his reviews go live. I've had clients that I've worked with where I have signed on to their Amazon account through my computer, and then later on when I wanted to leave a review as myself, Amazon wouldn't let me. And I see it all the time, even with people that don't live in the same household. So if you are building your review readers from close relationships, then there's a good chance that Amazon won't allow those reviews. You mentioned the PDF. So that PDF, that list, is in the comments, and I'll post it again at the end. I think that's the PDF that you're talking about. It should be in the comments below this video. Miranda asks, have you heard about Amazon Cart? I haven't. I have to go review that. We already answered how many beta readers should one have? As many as you can get. Sharon would like to mention that her novel Colored Edges is launching on April 15th on Smashwords. It's described as pre-order on Smashwords now. I love that Smashwords allows for pre-orders. That's really wonderful. Amazon only allows for pre-orders if you are a big author and you call them and you have a contact. Guy Kawasaki, he could get pre-orders of his book. Robert Scoble, who is another big name, could not get pre-orders of his book on Amazon. And so he did something really tricky, where he put his book up and he launched his book on Amazon, and that was the publication date, and then he removed it. And so it wasn't available, but the listing was still there. And then he was able to send his beta reviewers to leave their reviews on Amazon, on that empty listing, basically, ahead of time. And then when he was ready for his official launch, he made the files available again, and then there it was. So he had a weird thing where the launch date for the book was very different than the publishing date. The publishing date was a good month earlier, but then he removed the book from availability and then brought it back. Smashwords, though, anyone can make their book available for pre-order, which is wonderful. So it's not really launched, but it is available for pre-order. Miranda says, what crowdfunding site do you think is the best for the indie author? I have a few that I recommend. I have to immediately shout out to Pubslush. The reason I like Pubslush, so crowdfunding is where you can promote your book project and other people, the crowd, comes and funds it for you. And Pubslush is a great one because it's just for books. If you go there, you don't find movies, you don't find tech projects. It's just people getting book projects funded. And the Pubslush team are incredible. If you call them up and you have questions, you might end up talking to the CEO, and she'll talk to you for a very long time about how to get your campaign out there. So definitely for heart, I love Pubslush, and for their specificity of, I didn't say that right, but specifically because they're just funding books, they're great. When I crowdfunded, I used Kickstarter. And the reason I used Kickstarter is because my project had a general appeal. That was the Bookflesh project. And I knew that I could get people that weren't just in my network to promote it or to contribute to it. And Kickstarter has great organic traffic. Kickstarter's big caveat is that if you don't raise all your money, you don't get any of your money, where Pubslush doesn't have that. And also Indiegogo is another one where not as much traffic as Kickstarter, but a different kind of crowd, great for book projects, and you get all of the money even if you don't raise whatever you set as your goal. I don't have time to go into Rafflecopter. I'm so sorry, but Rafflecopter is a great tool for automating your social media campaigns. So just take a look at it and try it out. This one says, I love the personal touch of the one-by-one and using their name. Yes, again, respect your review readers. Give them all the love and time of your own that you can. Dawn says, will the video be available after? Yes, at the same place that you're watching it now. You will be able to play it and watch it again. And that's all. If anyone has any last questions to slip in, now's the last time to slip them in. We'll put in all the links again at the community or on the event page down below. Thanks for tuning in. Oh, and when your book launches, make sure you send us an email at Writerly, because we will very happily post a book launch announcement on our Twitter account for you. Thanks. Bye.